Tanzania's Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan has been sworn in as the 6th President of the United Republic of Tanzania. This following the death of President John Magufuli this week. She becomes the first female president in Tanzania and the East African region. The SABC's Isaac Lukando has more for us.
Samia Suluhu Hassan has been thrust from the role of vice president to become Tanzania's first female leader. This after President John Magufuli's death on Wednesday.
This oath is different from all other oaths I have ever taken in my life. I took the earlier oaths in an atmosphere of comfort, joy and celebration. Today, I have taken the highest oath in this great nation Tanzania, in great sadness and the country covered in a dark cloud of grief.
Tanzania's 61-year-old new president is now calling on her fellow countrymen to band together during what she says is a challenging time for her country.
Fellow leaders and citizens of Tanzania, I ask that we be patient. Let us build unity in this difficult time. Let me assure you that we are strong as a nation, and your leaders will ensure that we carry on where our fellow leader left off.
Samia Suluhu used her first speech as president to lay out the schedule for the laying to rest of her predecessor, John Magufuli. Residents of 4 cities will be able to pay their last respects over several days before he is buried in his hometown of Chato on the 25th of March. Under the Tanzanian constitution, Samia Suluhu Hassan will serve the remainder of Magufuli's second 5-year term, which does not expire until 2025. She will have an option to run for the top office in 2025 for another term. President Hassan began her political career in the year 2000 in her native Zanzibar as a member of parliament before being elected to the National Assembly on mainland Tanzania and assigned a senior ministry. She rose through the ranks of the ruling party until she was picked by Magufuli as his running mate in his first presidential election campaign in 2015.
I was fortunate to be Magufuli's vice president. He was a leader that never got tired of teaching, practically directing where he would like the country to go. He has taught me a lot. He has prepared me well.
President Hassan's swearing in is to be followed by a high-level meeting of her party's Central Committee in Dar es Salaam. She now begins the task of leading a 60 million-strong nation towards a better future. Isaac Lukando, SABC, Dar es Salaam.
Just who is Samia Suluhu Hassan? Well, according to an analyst, Tanzania could be set for a very different kind of leadership. Magufuli was known as the Bulldozer for pushing through policies in the face of opposition. Hassan, though, is seen as more of a consensus builder.
Hassan's leadership style could be useful when dealing with the various factions within the ruling CCM party. Hassan would also be the first Tanzanian president born on the occasionally restive autonomous Zanzibar archipelago rather than the African mainland. As a Muslim woman from those inlands, she has described herself as softly spoken. She sits in stark contrast to the brash Christian Magufuli. A party insider said that's one of the reasons she was picked as his running mate in 2015. In the 6 years since Magufuli drew international criticism for his increasingly authoritarian tactics, Hassan publicly championed his leadership style, but privately, according to one politician who knows her, she was uneasy about the country's direction.
Well, the head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, has urged Tanzania's newly inaugurated president to tackle the coronavirus. Samia Suluhu Hassan has just been sworn in, as we've been seeing, as the East African nation's newest leader, 2 days after the death of President John Magufuli. The late president gained international notoriety last year for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in his country.
I would like to use this opportunity to express our condolences and also sympathy to the people of Tanzania and the family of the late President Magufuli. From myself and all my colleagues in WHO. And also, I would like to congratulate the new president on her appointment. I have already stated this earlier today, actually. Look forward to working with the new president very closely and help them in any way possible. This virus has affected the whole world, and no country can say that we don't have the virus. I think working together and stamping this virus out of every country will be very important, and it starts from sharing information and also taking all the right measures to control the pandemic.
Well, to speak a little more on this, I'm now joined by Neville Meena, who's the Secretary of the Tanzania Editors Forum, and he joins us on Zoom from Dar es Salaam. Mr. Meena, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. I can hear you, although there is some echo from your side.
All right, we'll try and fix the echo, but in the meantime, I suppose the country is still in mourning with the shock news that the president has passed away.
Yes, we are just mourning, and the country is in a very somber mood because nobody expected, because there was no any information that the president was sick. There was just rumors, which were refuted by the government officials that the president was well. But now abruptly here came vice president. There was Vice President Samia, and he announced the death. So it is a shocking news for everyone. Nobody expected, but that's how it is. There is no way, because that's the reality. We have to face it as it is.
Well, let's talk about this new president, Samia, first female president of Tanzania. Has she got work to do to convince people that she will be a great leader? Because sometimes a running mate in a presidential race is chosen for aesthetics, chosen to look good, perhaps not so much to be a powerful force. But here she is now in the biggest office in the country.
Yes, you have to remember that Samia was a running mate with Magufuli, and according to the law of the land, is that being a running mate, that's where you become a vice president, and the one who runs as a running mate and who becomes a vice president must have a quality of being a president. That's number one. Number two, Samia has been in the government for so long, the minister from the island in Zanzibar, and she was also vice chair of the Constitutional Assembly in 2013-2014, and she was she managed to supervise the House. So most of people in Tanzania, they regard Samia as we call him a powerful woman. Although it's our first president to have a woman president in Tanzania, but we perceive her as a person who can manage the post. So we don't have so much fear on how she will run the business in the country. Although we'll be watching, because, as I told you, she's the first person, she's the first woman to be the president of the United Republic of Tanzania. We don't have such experience of having another woman at that level.
The former president, the late president, was known as the Bulldozer, and he was quite firm with the way that he managed the country. What difference do you think you will see with President Samia?
Yes, we expect much, because, Magufuli was a bit conservative. Was a man of action in both sides. That's for him, nothing was impossible. and it doesn't matter what would have happened. But when he has decided that we are going to do 1, 2, 3, that thing must emerge as it has planned. Yes, it might be a strength, but sometimes it will be a weakness because you possibilize the impossibilities in some of the environment. So Samia might be accommodative because even listening to her speech today, a very brief speech, she has recognized even the opposition people who send the condolence to her following the death of the president. And she has said firmly that we have to forget the past and start a new chapter that's building our nation and stand as Tanzanians to see the bright future of our country. For me, those words have a very broad meaning, considering the situation we had, where the opposition were marginalized here, the media muzzled, and what we call human rights defenders and activists being sidelines from whatever the governments were doing. For me, maybe Samia might be accommodative and call the people to sit at the same table and discuss the way forward, how we can proceed, trying to pull us out from where we are, where actually we had no happy because no one, Magufuli, didn't accept criticism from whoever seemed to be in that position of criticizing him.
Might there be a shift in policy change? Might there be different approaches? She was quite supportive of the late president, but I guess that's her job as deputy. But do you think that she might take different postures on certain issues?
Yes, she might do that because like taking an issue of like that of barring the pregnant students to go back to school. You know, few months before the president stated clearly that he will never allow the girls getting pregnant to go back to school, was Samia who brought that matter when she was addressing a graduation ceremony at one of the universities in Dar es Salaam. So she underscored that the government was in plan to finalize the policy, which will allow the female students who getting pregnant to go back to school after having their babies. But surprisingly enough, after like 2 or 3 months of that statement, that's where the president himself came out and refuted each and everything. And you know, this is all the policy matter because it started somewhere in the Ministry of Health, supported by the Ministry of Gender and the other stakeholders. So it was a policy which was coming from the government itself. And so Samia was talking based on the policy issue, knowing that the policy was already approved by the government. But I think her boss was not happy with that policy, and it was refuted. So, for me, I can see some of the policies changing, especially those who those who are for women empowerment, and giving more room for political accommodation, like the opposition, especially when right now in Tanzania, it's like that the opposition parties are not there. Because when Magufuli was in power, political parties were not allowed to carry even the public rallies. They should wait until when we have a general election as it was. So from 2015, they came to be seen on the public in the 2020 during the campaign rallies. But now, because the laws allows the public rally, allows the political gatherings, I think Samia might be a bit accommodative and allow political activities to continue. Because as I know her personally, he believes also in criticism that the other side They are there to see the holes and to point out some mistakes. Because at the time, one day, if CCM will be an opposition on the opposition side, we'll do the same. So for us, we are still hopes that some of the policies and some of the Magufuli's beliefs might be kept aside, and we can see the new leadership with new policies and with new approach actually.
Well, let's talk about one hot potato issue, and that's COVID-19, and how the late president, was accused of being a denialist and perhaps not taking it as seriously as he should have. Do you think that we will see a difference in approach with the new president in terms of how to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think the new president don't have option. She doesn't have an option. Of recent, like 1 week ago, we have just seen the different behavior of the government officials. Most of them were not wearing masks on the public, but like 3, 4, 5 days ago, some of them have just seen the government officials wearing masks on the public. And coming to the vaccine, last week, the permanent secretary addressed the press conference at the Muhimbili National Hospital, saying that Tanzania has not refused to take vaccine, but they are still trying to make some research to see if the vaccine is safe to be applied to the patient or to Tanzanian people. And the same statement was also uttered by the Zanzibar Minister for Health, who said that the government has not refused to take vaccine, but they are still making some research on it to see if it is safe. And this is a message that there is a government consultations going on maybe, and they might come with a different approach in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic.
The last few weeks have been pretty difficult for the media in particular, and this is something that you would know. People being arrested for fake news, trying to report that the president was not well. How much do we now know about the final weeks of the life of President Magufuli? Did he go to Kenya? Did he go to India? Did he even die of COVID-19?
As far as I know, from the government, they are saying that the president was in Tanzania for the entire period of his illness. Although, as you heard Samia say that the president started to be unwell on the 6th of this month, and he was taken to Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute in Dar es Salaam, and released. And thereafter, he was also he went for readmission after being unwell for the second time. Now, myself, I'm not convinced actually with what was going on, because I have just read one paper in the daily paper from Kenya, and they are insisting that Magufuli was there, and they are saying, even they are mentioning even the dates which he was admitted over there, and they are saying that he was brought back to Dar es Salaam, and with the last support from Nairobi, and later he passed away after coming from Nairobi. But my files has revealed that there was no Indian trip. He was not taken to India, and this might be the cohesive apparatus's way of misleading the people when there is a very crucial matter like that. And all we know how the security guys behaves, and I think are themselves who just leaked the false information to the public so that they can mislead people and not to know exactly what was going on. Because as I have told you that Magufuli was admitted and he died without the government saying, disclosing that he was unwell. They came to say that he was unwell on the day when they were announcing his death. This is very unfortunate because Tanzanian people deserve to know the whereabouts of their leaders. So they would have told the public that our president is sick, we are attending him, maybe he's somewhere undergoing treatment. At least the public might have been in a very in a mood to receive even the bad news which came later, but that was not the case. So till to date, I can't say I'm not sure 100% if Magufuli was taken to Nairobi or elsewhere, but I'm sure he was not taken to India, but in Nairobi it remains 50-50. I have read a paper from Kenya, and I need to sit down maybe and verify the information before believing 100% that he was taken to Kenya before he was lifted, was brought back to Tanzania after maybe being more serious than it was.
All right, and perhaps finally, are you hopeful about the future with President Samia? Do you think that the media perhaps will be treated a little kinder and that there'll be a bit more freedom for people to express themselves?
Yeah, we are hoping that things may change because, frankly speaking, we have been in a very harsh situation. Yeah, the things here are not moving. We lost each other. Some of the media have closed down business because the business is not going on. Some of the newspaper has been closed by the government, has been banned from being printed. Some of the editors have been chased away from the newsroom. And more, I can assure you, more than 50% of journalists and editors nowadays are out of the newsroom because the newsroom can no longer accommodate them due of the business side of it, because we can't publish the stories which sells because of some draconian laws and the policies which were implemented by the former president regime. And maybe because Samia is accommodative, we might be lucky if she will allow us to sit together with her and discuss the matters that actually pertaining our profession and to see how we can move forward. Today, she has recognized the media as a part of the morning colleague and praising what has been done since our president was passed away. But that was the worst during the morning. We can't predict what will come while she'll be in the full business. And mind you, the ones who were implementing these draconian policies are the government officials who are still there. So if they are still believing in Magufuli's philosophy of clamping down the media, it will take us sometimes to have changes, even if Samia having maybe a different mind. So to adapt the new thinking of the new president might take some time. And you know, when the media is muzzled, most of the public and government officials, they do enjoy that, regardless of how much the media will suffer. So if they are enjoying it and they are in the position of maintaining it, it will be there. It may take some time. It may take a year or so to go back where we are during Kibwete's era.
Okay, my dear brother, thank you very much indeed. Asante sana. Kwaheri.
Thanks so much. I've enjoyed the show.
Great.
And have a good night and convey our greetings to our colleagues in Joburg and South Africa in particular.
We will definitely do that. Thank you so much indeed. That's the Secretary of the Tanzania Editors Forum, Neville Meena, speaking to us from Dar es Salaam, hoping that things change, particularly for the media, but he is hopeful. He says that he knows President Samia Hassan quite well, and that she's a little bit more accommodative than the former president, the late President Magufuli, who was a little bit firmer and ruled, some would say, with an iron fist, known as the Bulldozer, for forcing through his ideas and his policies, and sometimes for good. It must be remembered, he built roads, he fought corruption, but there is the other side, of course, where people say some freedoms were taken away at the same time. We'll have more for you on The Globe after this.